Hey, what's going on, guys? Lord MC here, back again with another video. I wanted to quickly share my thoughts on what happened today in the market, but before I get into that, I want to preface by saying I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice, so take everything with a grain of salt. Having said that, it wasn't a very good day for me. I did get puts on Apple, Microsoft, and Netflix. Um, I really don't understand how today was any type of bullishness, especially with um, how much bad news there is around the world and what's going on right now. Right? Um, you have Putin threatening nuclear weapons on Ukraine. You have the Nord Stream pipeline being destroyed. Right? We have no idea who did it. You have the British pound dollar falling down drastically, and the Bank of England doing some quantitative easing when inflation is all around high around the world. So that makes no sense. You had Apple come out with news uh, before pre-market saying that nobody is they have to lower production because nobody is interested in the new iPhone, right? You had also come earlier in this week, Netflix came out with news that subscribers were threatening to stop their subscription. So I have no idea how Netflix went up almost 10% for the day, um, as well as Apple coming down. They did gap down and then eventually, I think, tested 151. We'll go over that, but it closed around 150. So I have no idea how that in any case was bullish in the market, especially in SPY around closing today at 370.53, almost going as high as 372 and change. It did go up 1.97% for the day. So quickly, I'm going to analyze SPY here. Of one of the things that I did say in my previous video yesterday was one case scenario was that I thought that we would create lower lows before Thursday, and then PCE data coming in bullish, which would eventually finally get that bottom and then start going up to the upside. Today's action has me thinking otherwise. The volume that came in today was around 110 million volume. Prior day was around 108. Yesterday's close was at negative 0.26, or today was almost up 2%. I don't understand this movement, but obviously sellers stepped up here, the market stepped up. So I don't think this is harmonic buying. I do think now I'm switching possibly my case scenario where I do think that this is a bull trap. We have two things that are coming out before the end of the week. One of them is GDP. Tomorrow is GDP, so this is what might play out. If GDP comes out with good news, that essentially will mean it's bad news, right? Um, the Fed would possibly raise interest rates because GDP is bullish, meaning that they're not doing their job and they have to raise those interest rates, right? So also jobless claims is also tomorrow before open. If we are not, if there's more jobless claims, um, and we aren't, those jobless claims aren't coming high, and that means that Jerome Powell again is not doing his job and has to increase rates, right? So that's what's coming up tomorrow for Thursday, and then on Friday the second thing is obviously PCE. So going back here to the SPY, I did mention on yesterday's video that one of the case scenarios would be that it would possibly go and test inside this gap fill here, which it did. It went up as high as 372. So what do I see for tomorrow? I do think tomorrow we possibly um, test this gap fill here at 373, which is also 373.50, I think 373.50, which will possibly be resistance here, and then come back down, and then on Friday possibly do a double top. And if GDP and PCE is bad, especially Friday, we could probably create a double top and then finally create those lower lows. So it essentially would be something like that. So that's for the bearish case, which I'm leaning towards. For the bullish case, you have, if GDP is a nothing burger, you can come probably fill this gap, come back down, and then if PCE data comes up being bullish, probably test target 2 at 381. That's the bullish case scenario. Um, I'm not a believer that that's going to happen, but the market doesn't care what I think. So it's going to be interesting to see what GDP is going to come out as. I do think, I believe, two negative GDP, 2 negative quarters of GDP is very bad. So a third one would be so bad for the market. So we will see tomorrow what that does. So I also wanted to mention here that one thing you have to also look at harmonically. It did trigger finally an HSI arrow after it was oversold in RSI, HSI, and EMP RSI. Going quickly back to the 2-day chart here on this bullish shark pattern. Today it did test OB at 371.11. It went inside, which is also coincidentally where that gap fill is, right? So will be interesting to see if it continues pushing up. I do have strong resistance here at 373 tomorrow at that gap fill. But back, what I wanted to share here on the SPY is you have to look at it this way, and why I think this is also a bull trap. Nobody's buying here at the top, not at least smart money. Smart money does not buy at top, right? This could be this could be retail, this could be whatever, this could be just a bull trap. So nobody's buying here at 371, but not institutions, not smart money. They always buy at the bottoms, right? Could this have been the bottom, right? This is a giant W here now forming. Could this be the bottom? It could have. I don't know. We're going to find out within the next 2 days what that happens with PCE and GDP data coming out. But I do think, in my opinion, that this is a bull trap. But for the case of it not being a bull trap, one thing, the levels that you got to know, if it breaks 373, that would be 375 here at the 9 EMA, and then the 13 EMA around 380 for levels of resistance. Going back to the triple Qs. The triple Qs looks the same harmonically. It also created an HSI arrow here after being oversold in RSI, HSI, and AMP RSI. Jumping over to the 2-day real quick. It did close above here, above hop at 273.37, close the day at 279.94. Levels of resistance, if you are playing the triple Qs here, is at 2. It tried to test 282 here at the 9 EMA. Fortunately fell short, but levels of resistance here is at 280 and then 282 at this 9 EMA, 9-day EMA. So support would be at 271. I have this range here at 268, where if it loses that, that's creates lower lows. So we will see what that does for us tomorrow. Jumping over to the Dow Jones. So the Dow Jones did finish at 1.86% for the day. It closed at 296.73. Just like the SPY and the triple Qs, it generated an HSI arrow here, and it also coincidentally generated now a butterfly pattern. So RSI was oversold, HSI was oversold, AMP RSI as well. We got that HSI arrow triggered here. So what's next? Are we going to get a type 1 reaction, or are we going to get a type 2 reaction? We still need time for that to confirm where that's going to go. But key levels here of resistance here would be at this gap fill here at 290, between 297, call it 298, and 299.54. So I have resistance here at 298, call it 298, and then at the 9 EMA at $300. So there's also a gap down, which is coincidentally here at the bottom here of hop at 283, call it 284, right? So if we do get this gap down here and we consolidate, we're probably going to get that type 2 reaction, unless we continue further down, right? We're not that far from the descending broadening wedge on the Dow Jones, but if it decides to do a type 1, target 1 would be 309, but resistance would be here at 300, and then 303, and then at the 21 EMA at 307. So having said that, I'm going to quickly go over the VIX. The VIX today, I did say in my previous video that at any given moment the VIX would jump up to 35. We got that today, almost got that today, went as high as 34.88. So there's some still volatility there. VIX did close for the third day now at above 30, so we're still not out of the woods, especially if you're playing to the bull side on the market. Anything above 30 on the VIX is bearish. We would want it to go below 25, call it 24 to continue maybe some reversal here. The one thing that I wanted to share here is that the VIX is creating higher lows and higher highs, so keep a note for that. I do think some volatility is going to come in tomorrow and Friday for GDP for tomorrow and PCE on Friday. Now going over to Microsoft here on the puts that I got here. Microsoft finished at 241.07 for an almost 2% day. It went as high as 242.33. One of the resistance here that you're looking at for SPY tomorrow is 242.50. I think that's very strong resistance there. If it gets above, it would be very bullish for Microsoft. It is possibly creating here lower lows here between 236 and 231. I do have this trend line here this horizontal line here at 230.65, where if it falls below that, it'll be very concerning for Microsoft. Jumping over here to, I believe it's a 3-day. The 3-day here, exactly the area where I have it here at 232 of this ABCD pattern where the hop is at. So we will see where Microsoft wants to go, but those are your levels here for Microsoft. I am bearish below 240 and bullish above 242.50, so we will see. Jumping over to Apple, which was it was an interesting, eventful day for Apple. It did gap down. It went to as low as 144.84, and it ended up closing at 149.84. Went as high as 150.64. So I had a key level here at 148.05, where it did gap down to that below that, and then closed just above it. One of the resistance here for Apple that I think is a key level to watch out for tomorrow is 150. There's heavy resistance here as 150, and it's been trading in this range. So if it breaks that, it could possibly go to target 1, at 152.59, which would also be where the 9 EMA is. Back, if you wanted to play the bearish case scenario, we would need Apple to break 148, 147. Breaking 148, 147, we could possibly jump over to, I believe it's a 2-day, where we could retest the 200 EMA here at 146 and possibly 141.30. I did buy 142 puts, so those are a little bit, I got crushed on those, so will be interesting to see what Apple decides to do. Apple is kind of holding strong here on whoever is holding Apple, especially with the news that came out that they are slowing down production. So we'll see what that has for us in the next 2 days. So that's all I have for you guys. I will be streaming tomorrow on Twitch. I'll be streaming right before open, so if you guys want to go over to my Twitch stream my Twitch stream is in the description box here. So having said that, if you like this content, please consider subscribing and give me a like. If you don't, it's fine, but hope to be praying tomorrow, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thanks everybody.